She's chilling. She's there for multiple months at a time.
No.
What?
We're not telling that story.
Why? Can we not? No.
No.
Okay. Are we good?
Is this thing on?
Uh-huh.
Oh my God. I feel like we gotta like dust off the cobwebs in this room.
Welcome back, guys, to the Cousin
Connection podcast.
We missed you. We've been gone for a while.
It's
Really,
been a
it's only
little
been like
minute.
2 weeks, but still.
I know it was longer because we recorded 3 weeks ago.
Oh yeah, I believe for them it's been like 2 weeks. I guess technically it would be 3 weeks next week.
Yeah,
So,
you
yeah.
know what? Every time I have to put out that story post on the Thursday, like, sorry guys, we don't have another episode this week.
Hey, the second part was out of our control. Okay, I went traveling. Should we just explain what happened basically? So for the first week I went traveling. You know, I was doing my thing, and we're like, oh, you know, we'll be back the next week. I'll have some stories to tell, right? Come back, sick. Everyone sick.
But
What?
if you're on TikTok and if you're following us on TikTok and if you're not, it's linked below.
Apparently y'all had a time when I was gone.
The girls and the guys. Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
So to make up for the lack of an episode, I figured why not connect with our online community. We've done like Instagram lives in our earlier days,
Mm-hmm.
and I always just found it like super awkward because it was like majority like our friends and family that were joining. So it's just like, I don't know. I just felt like awkward knowing that they were like
Because it was
actively watching
Instagram,
us.
right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Mhm.
Something about Instagram. It's just like embarrassing to be on there.
What?
I don't know.
I
why
guess
have this
you
thought.
feel like you can't get away with as much.
Yeah, and I guess it's just like the thought of like just like I know my friends and family, like they're commenting. I can see them. They're
Mhm.
here. But we have recently started doing TikTok lives, and you guys know if you use both platforms, they're very different vibes,
Yeah.
you know? So this was my first time going on TikTok live by myself. Oh no.
And we're back, guys. Little technical difficulty. Remember, we just got this camera, so it might have just randomly stopped recording because of overheating. And we'll see if that happens again here. I had a backup. Don't worry. I'm the backup guy. Okay. I thought about whatever scenario that could happen, and I have a backup for it, so we should be good. What did you just do?
No, I just scratched my wrist on the.
Okay, I have a backup for the mics too, just in case Sada breaks one of them. Okay, so
Those are just our guest mics.
yeah, but you were talking about how the you know the vibe is a little different on
Yeah.
Instagram versus TikTok.
Yeah, because I feel like, okay, maybe it's also because in our earlier days, shout out to our friends and family and just like people that we kind of know,
Mhm.
y'all really were our day ones.
Yeah.
And supported us from the jump before we even had like recorded content like this.
Mhm.
So, you know, when I was going on TikTok last week to make up for the lack of an episode, I had Nabat and Iman with me.
Mhm.
And sometimes I gotta remember my their boundaries too, right? Because they're not podcasters.
Yeah.
They're not really on social media like that. So I'm here trying to force them on, and everyone's like, "We can hear voices in the background. Like, do you guys want to be on the live with me?" And they're like, "No, we don't."
Mhm.
And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I can't just force them on."
Mhm.
So it was a fun time. Like people are mostly asking questions. Where's Amir? Everybody.
I would have probably ruined it as of what happened a couple days ago. So. It's very different vibes.
You know, they had their questions,
Yeah.
and the girls were excited. They're like, "Oh, can we have like girl talk now?
Yeah.
Amir's not here." And
What?
then all of a sudden, like, you know, we were on there for quite some time, and like the viewers were starting to go up, and you know, I was starting to get a little.
You playing with
I'm
that
sorry,
mic?
it literally spun on its own.
Why
Y'all
are
saw
you?
that, right?
Okay, give me 1 second, guys.
Wait, let me twist it. There we go. It's good. Don't touch
But
it.
why do you have this issue and I don't?
I don't know.
There you go.
It's too far. There we go. Okay.
Okay. Oh my
So,
god.
so I can see the viewers going up, and I'm starting to get like nervous. I'm like, oh my god, like Amir, you know, and I feel like I've
you
become
like
like
your comfort?
codependent, you know. So I'm like starting to sweat a little bit, and
Yeah.
then I hear my mom.
Mhm.
Like she's interested in what I'm saying. We're talking about relationships, obvi. Okay. So she's like, I have something to say. I'm like, like to me? Can we talk about this after the live? Like, I'm literally on live right now. She's like, no. Like, who is it? Who's in the live? And so I'm like just a couple hundred people. I don't know.
Were there a couple hundred people in there?
The total viewers through the span of the 3 hours were like 3,200 people. Yeah,
okay.
I was like, oh my God. So she is like, can I come and say something? And I was like, yeah. She's like, they can hear me? I'm like, yes, they can hear you. So I'm like, just put on a hijab because you're going to be on camera.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, whatever. Puts on a hijab. She sits down and she, like, everyone's like so amped because, you know, they always, I feel like you guys have always wanted our moms to come on the podcast. Anyone who watches Aisha's channel, like, you'll see Amir's mom on there and occasionally my mom here and there. And you guys love Amir's mom. So, you know, she came on and people were like, oh my God, like rapid fire questions at her. Obviously, I'm reading them to her. And then I'm starting to see names I recognize, like our friends and family. And they're all asking wild questions. I'm like, Waleed, you're one of them. So he's like, hi, auntie, I got some questions for you.
You know what? The thing about the internet is that, like, it feels like there's like a barrier there. So you can't go a little further than you normally, especially on TikTok. Because TikTok, like, some people don't connect it to their Instagram. So it's not, there's no like backtrack. There's no way to go back and like see who this person is.
Exactly.
Especially y'all with the like emojis for names.
Or the username 152, whatever.
Yeah, okay. I know y'all are just doing that because you're trying to stay anonymous, but I'm gonna find you.
But then they start asking her questions.
Yeah.
And she's like, she's eating it up, okay? She starts getting super animated, talking with her hands, like just getting into it. And I'm kind of shocked because you know my mom. Like, between our moms, she's the more like chill one-ish,
yeah.
kind of.
Well, you know.
She has her moments.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but here she's like animated. And I know her anytime the camera's on her, she's so shy, doesn't want to talk. But here she's just like.
Now, once they get a little bit of that dopamine hit and then they see that there's feedback from what they're saying and seeing that people are on their side, they see like why we do this. Okay.
So then, but the thing is like I'm acknowledging the people that we know and those that we don't. But like I'm acknowledging our cousins and stuff that are in there. She's like, oh, like Waleed can see, like he can hear me. She doesn't think that he can see her, but she knows that he can hear her.
Yeah. Which is an odd thing because she can see herself on camera.
Right. I don't know where the miscommunication came into play.
Or the disconnection.
Yeah, like I was confused as to how she thought she wasn't being seen. So she's like acknowledging, she's like, oh, they can see me, they can see me. And I'm like, they can hear you and see you, yes. And she's like, what do you mean they can see me? So she tries to like move away from the camera.
After you told her put on a hijab?
Right. So I'm like, they've been able to see you this whole time. And then she's like directly addressing, like, she's like, oh, is it like a face? Like, is it just like 3 people in here? I'm like, do you know how many people are in here right now? Yeah. Like, I don't want to psych her out.
Nah, she's playing dumb. She knows what she's doing, okay?
But then she's giving these crazy examples because someone asked her if she thinks it's a good idea that you should have a roster.
A roster? Yeah. Or like a group of people you're kind of talking to?
Yeah.
Okay.
And imagine having to explain that to your mom because she doesn't know what a roster is.
I thought she's the one who brought it up.
No, people were just like, oh, can we ask her for some like life advice? And I was like, are you okay if they ask you like relationship advice? She's like, yeah, sure, go for it.
And someone asked her, is it cool to have a roster?
Yeah.
And first you have to explain what a roster is.
Yeah, she's like, what's a roster? I was like, when you're talking to more than one person at the same time and you like switch back and forth. And then she was like, yeah, why not? And I was like, okay, like you support this, cool. And then she started giving examples.
Yeah, give me one of her examples.
This was the most wild one and it gained the most reaction because I was so shocked that she said this. But she was like, obviously because Nabat and Iman are in the background, right? So she's looking at them, like kind of lecturing at them while on camera. She's like, if there was a guy who wasn't from here and he was visiting in town and he like kind of knew all 3 of you and then he invites all of you guys out for like coffee or something and he's asking you relationship questions and he's kind of just like, in his mind, he's trying to decide who he likes best out of the 3 of you. Like, that's a good idea. And I looked at her and I'm like, no person would like knowingly agree to that though.
Yeah, and she kind of misunderstood the idea of a roster. A roster is like, when I think about a roster, I think of like, you're talking to different people, but they don't know that you're talking between different people. You know what I'm saying? Well, like one girl might be, you know, in like East Side Toronto, the other girl might be in the West End, the other one might be in Markham, you know, it's like different locations.
But so she's saying all this and everyone's like for losing their minds. Yeah. And I'm losing my mind. I'm like, yo, like, don't get us canceled. Why are you saying stuff like that? So anyways, she's like, I said what I said. I stand by what I said. And I'm like, I'm still very shook. So after we finished the live, she's like, still thinking about it. Because I think she was like confused about my reaction.
Yeah.
She's like, why were you like freaking out over what I said? I'm like, what? I'm like, you tell me, if a guy told me he was into me and my two friends and asked us all out for coffee, you think I would go? You would allow me to go? And she was like, who said he was going to tell you that he liked your friends?
Oh, yeah, exactly. I was about to say that. I was like, yeah, you wouldn't know.
And I was like, so I wouldn't know that he likes my friends, but he mysteriously is just inviting me and the girls.
You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it like that, that does seem totally fine.
No, but so she tried to clarify. She's like, I'm not saying that he's just going to invite the three of you. She's like, look at your group of friends. Anytime you have someone visiting from out of town, do you guys not all get together and hang out? And I'm like,
exactly.
Yeah, because we're friends. Like if I was interested in somebody or multiple people, I wouldn't invite them all to one setting. That's way too much pressure.
Why not?
That's too much pressure. Because if I knew that they liked me back, they would all try to give me attention, and I would try to like, you know what I mean? Like it's just it wouldn't. And
then no, honestly, I feel like that might actually give you the real answer to who you like more. Because if you invited 3 people that you liked to an outing or whatever, and you find yourself naturally gravitating towards answering or giving more attention to one of them, you're like, okay, now I know. Like maybe you're unsure on who exactly you want to be with. Like let's see how this works in a group context, and like it might actually work out for your friends. Like let's say you invite 3 guys. You know, Nabat's single out here. She's doing her own thing. We're out here as a group. You find you're gravitating more towards one guy, and the other guy's like, oh, I ain't getting attention from her. Starts talking to Nabat. Now Nabat's got hooked up, and you're the perfect wing woman. You know, it might actually work out for all of you guys. And then Iman, don't forget about Iman. Iman might be there too. You know, she out here single, ready to mingle, and she didn't have the motivation.
I don't know what you're trying to say.
No, like when you go to a thing not expecting to.
Oh, she didn't have the preconceived notion or like the thought beforehand.
Yeah, but there's a word. There's a word for it. Yeah, I'm forgetting what that word is, but that thing. But, now there's a third guy who's getting no attention. One guy's occupied with you. One guy's occupied with Nabat.
Amir.
Just saying,
I don't think
all y'all got married at the same time. Kids all be playing together from this one event.
Imagine finding 3 guys you like at the same time in this economy.
I'm just saying, miracles do happen.
She might be onto something.
Yeah.
But... after we talked it out, I was like, okay, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But I just like, listen, if you're not actually committed to somebody, then you're single. If you're just getting to know people or you're talking, but you're not actually in an exclusive relationship, you can talk to whoever you want. But the minute you're in an exclusive relationship and still talking to multiple people... red flag.
Okay, yeah, no. Yeah, definitely. Like, I don't think she was talking about it in that context.
No, she wasn't.
She definitely meant like you're just getting to know people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think anyone... First off, I don't know who has the bandwidth for that. For like being able to be exclusive with someone. Because like, you're already talking, from my experience, you're already talking to someone almost like 24/7 because you're just trying to get to know this person. So anytime you have free time, you're most likely texting that person, waiting on a reply, that kind of thing. So how do you have time to even like message other people? Let alone
don't doubt the players.
What?
Don't doubt the players.
I guess so. I'm just so wholesome. I can't even fathom it, guys. I'm sorry.
Really? Damn.
But yeah, so that went on your lives. Unfortunately, I couldn't see it. You said you were gonna show me clips. I didn't get to see clips yet.
I'll show you today. I'll show you how.
Apparently, you also had Aisha on there at one point.
Yeah. So then, my mom took a break.
Yeah.
Because she was actually in the middle of working. It was a Saturday, and she was working like from home.
Yeah.
So she's like, I gotta go. Like, I fully warmed up my coffee to get my work done, and now my coffee's cold. So she's like, bye, guys.
Yeah. How one of her co-workers like pull up TikTok live and see her sitting on there.
So then she leaves.
Yeah.
Aisha comes on, and like Aisha and I are talking now, and like different people are giving like we're having like a really good conversation. And obviously she can hear. So she comes running back. She's like, is that Gizmane here? And I'm like, oh my God, it's not a FaceTime. There's still people watching us. Like, put your hijab back on. She's like, Kisman. You can already hear her voice saying that. So she reiterates everything she said before. Mm-hmm. And I was like, khalas, like we're just going to have
Gizman agreed with her, or Aisha agreed with her.
For what she was saying?
Or did she not hear that one?
She didn't hear that example.
Oh, okay,
no.
Okay.
She was saying other things. Like she had a lot of really good advice. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, everyone was agreeing with her, mm-hmm. but it was just really funny, like the way that she was saying it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, like I think lives are her thing. I don't know if we can get her on an episode. Maybe. I'm still working on it, guys.
Yeah.
I think with enough peer pressure, it might work.
Yeah. It would also, honestly, I feel like even the episode might not turn out the hottest, or not the hottest. What do you call it? Like it won't be as exciting as you may think because there's still a language barrier there.
No, she was like going off in English.
Really?
And everyone understood what she was saying.
Okay, as long maybe my preconceived notions. Mm-hmm, okay, mm-hmm. my prejudices are showing. Okay, I will give it a chance. We'll see.
No, she she did really well articulating herself. So mm-hmm. I'll be working on trying to get her on. Maybe we can have like a
Well, I tried. Okay, so whenever I get on TikTok live, people get to see the real Amir. The animated Amir, right? Yeah. Like for me, I get a little crazy sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I thought, okay, so I always hear about like TikTok having these regulations and like guidelines when it comes to what you can say and what you can do on TikTok Live. And I was always like, oh yeah, those people be going crazy, right? I don't even like swear that much, I don't even cuss. What's that meme again?
I don't even cuss. What is it?
I only cuss a little.
I do cuss a little.
I do cuss a little.
What's your favorite swear word? Probably beep.
So I'm on that end of society, But like, I was like, okay, maybe I can get away with. I'm black. I can get away like a little bit of an N-word here and there, or like I can make some some positive, not positive, positive statements towards maybe people like Andrew Tate or the Red Pill as a joke, of course, as a joke in context. It was all a joke. Mm-hmm. Well, for the most part, because certain stories Sarah was telling me was kind of making me agree with Andrew Tate at some point, but that's another story. And as we were going off, like I had control of the Cousin Connection page at that point because my TikTok page still hasn't hit 1,000 people. So go ahead and hit that up so I can actually go on live on video. We don't have to do this weird thing where I have to go on the Cousin Connection page. So I have to go on her page and we have to go live together. That's another point too. But at some point, I'm like going off. We're making jokes. I'm talking about pullout game, and we get shut down.
The way you just slid that in there, I don't even know how we got into that topic.
But don't worry about that. Let's just say
what happens on live stays on live, clearly. So if you want to,
apparently too much was happening on live, and it just shut us down. I was like, oh shoot, maybe like the phone died or like my internet cut out. Nah, I immediately got a message saying your live has been taken down for breaking community guidelines. Has been suspended for breaking community guidelines, and like the only way we could get it back is if I appealed it. And it said like it would take 24 hours, so I had to appeal it. Like we found out later that it was finally released. We're out. Okay, they tried to take us down. Yeah, should have done that. If we were still locked out, we should have came out with like free Cousin Connection podcast. But that happened, and like I might have gone a little crazy and started harassing some of the people coming in.
You know what it was though?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think
you know what it is.
It was a short king slander.
No.
Yes,
okay,
it was.
That was part of it. Okay, there you go. That's the context for why I was agreeing with Andrew Tate once. Because can you tell that story again?
What was it again?
This girl, she's in Ethiopia. She's chilling. She's there for multiple months at a time.
No.
What?
We're not telling that story.
Why? Can we not? No,
we're not. If you want to hear that story, I'm sorry. You got to. Can
I give the ending of that story at least, just for context?
Fine.
I won't say like anything else.
Okay.
Let's just say this girl got the ick. This girl got the ick from noticing that another man's shadow was the same size as her shadow. Add that to the list, y'all. She got the ick from noticing two shadows were the same.
That's a justifiable ick. Okay.
But that's a reason to no longer talk to a person.
No, there were many reasons, but that was just like the main. I was like, whoa, who's going to protect me now?
Oh, shit.
Amir!
Are you serious?
What's happening?
You know what I just realized?
Yeah, what?
these extra cameras are so overrated. Okay.
Yeah, we should have just stuck with the phone.
Yeah, we use the phone for like 100 episodes for video, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And like we got this nice camera. We're like, oh, we'll up our quality, we'll get better footage, all that kind of stuff. It's only been problems since then. It said 13 hours plus video recording. It doesn't say in the fine print, oh, this only means for the lowest quality at 1080p. But we're gonna try and make it work. We have some weird setup right now to try and keep it cool because it's been overheating like crazy. But I guess we'll find out in 20 minutes if it actually works. We have a backup just in case because, I'm the king of backups. Like
I'm just going to reiterate that.
Yeah.
Let's see how it is. Yeah.
What were we talking about? We were talking about how
we got banned on TikTok because of you.
We got banned on TikTok because of me.
Yeah. The short kings. You were judging me because of that.
Exactly. And how Andrew Tate is actually right. And the red pill. What?
I don't know if we should go that far.
I'm still surprised so many people don't know what the red pill is or who even Andrew Tate is. I mentioned Andrew Tate a couple times recently, and people are like, who the hell is that?
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, it shows you that, there's so many different sides to the internet that some people can miss huge cultural moments.
Yeah.
Who see with things that seem like huge cultural moments, but really don't mean much at all. Like, at least in the grand scheme of things, it's, not really a thing.
That really humbles those viral people, eh? When you're
not only that, it's like... things like it's always cool. It's always weird hearing the experience of the thing with what's happening in Palestine. How we've mentioned it a couple times, or in the past since it's been happening on almost every episode.
Yeah.
But I was talking to a coworker recently, and to them they have no connection to Palestine. They made a couple posts about Palestine here and there, but to them they still don't get the whole context. And there's only so much you could put out there where some people just aren't interested in finding out what's happening. Even if it's the most egregious and horrible thing in the world, they're just not interested. And it shows you that really at this, some people, a large amount of people at the end of the day will continue to stay neutral because to them, they just don't have the bandwidth in their life to worry about what's happening to other people around the world and and feel that it doesn't affect them. And
that in and of itself is a privilege.
Yeah, it is.
So the thing is that as upset as we can be about why aren't you guys, more concerned or more upset about what's going on? We can't force people to feel some type of way, right? We've spoken about this exact concept before in a earlier episode called the Tragedy Olympics, where most of the time people who are actively talking about tragedies that happen around the world have some sort of connection. Obviously, those that have been educating their followers and their friends and family and coworkers and whoever they can about what's happening in Palestine, the main thing that they're saying is you don't have to be Palestinian, you don't have to be Arab, you don't even have to be Muslim to feel the impacts of what's happening. You know what I mean? It's more of a humanity issue. And I've seen the different ways, whether it's through if you're someone that worries about children because you're a parent, or if you're someone who's a child and you're worried and you're personalizing it oh, what if I lost my parents or my entire lineage, my whole family to a missile airstrike or something. Or now one of the issues that I've been seeing is the lack of sanitary products for women when they're on their cycle. The ones that are getting their limbs amputated without any anesthesia. And the list goes on. You know what I mean? So I feel like some people are probably getting some sort they're feeling fatigue or it's really impacting their mental health. And so they're limiting the amount of exposure that they're exposing themselves to. I don't know if I can really be mad at that. Obviously, do your best to continue to speak up where needed and call for the ceasefire where you can. But if it's truly impacting you day to day, I don't know if I can be mad at someone who just kind of says I think I really need a break, because I've done it. And I'm not trying to say what I'm doing is right or wrong. I'm not justifying it in that sense. It's just at the end of the day,
everyone experiences burnout. That's the thing. Even if it is a privilege, just because it's a privilege doesn't mean that it's not true.
Yeah.
Right?
You know what I mean? You don't have,
it's that whole thing we've mentioned before where I think I said it before, where like the worst thing that's happened to you is the worst thing that's happened like to you, right? So as an individual. So like, because we can't put ourselves in their feet, like we're just trying to spread the message. But like, if one of our family members died right now, even just one of them, like that would be soul crushing, right? So it's hard to even imagine what it would be like to lose dozens of family members, right? That's why I feel so disconnected. And you try and spread the word about it, but like at some point you don't know exactly what that feels like, right? So people can be exhausted trying to get in that headspace constantly.
We'll never know unless you're in that situation, right? Like, you know, seeing the different types of videos and photos that we've seen in the last like 2 months is enough of like it's not even like firsthand trauma, like secondhand trauma that we're all experiencing. Like, especially because if you're someone that checks your phone first thing in the morning and you're just doing like a quick scroll on whether it's TikTok or Instagram or whatever, and the first thing you see are those graphic images, like that impacts you in ways you probably don't even realize now. Obviously, the ones that are experiencing it are the PTSD is going to last for a lifetime. You know what I mean? Like, it's not comparable. Us looking at a phone versus them living it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not even, I'm not trying to compare the trauma in that sense. It's just from the position that we have, if we had the power to stop it with our own hands, 1,000% on board. But we don't. We're not in that.
Well, like, I think the reason that people feel exhausted or the reason they feel burnt out is because like they've only known or have been they only know one way of making some type of impact, or like currently they only know one way, which is by posting it on their social medias
all the time,
and speaking about it.
Yeah.
But there are other ways, like active ways you can do it if you feel like you've done enough, or at least you feel like you're not doing enough. I mean, so like there are now people on TikTok who are giving advice on how you can even adjust your taxes so that a lower amount of your taxes are going towards funding this, because our taxes are ultimately funding this.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
What? Yeah. So you can like diverse by putting your money in like certain charity funds and like donating a certain amount of money and setting up like TFSA accounts that are not taxable, and different ways of spreading your money so that the government gets as little of it as possible. So you're essentially protesting now with your dollar, right? And then of course there are the other things that are more popular and a little bit easier, like the boycotts, right? And that has shown to be effective recently with what is it? Starbucks coming out and I believe losing billions of dollars in the evaluation. And unfortunately, like the Western media out here is of course trying to cover and say this is, you know, Starbucks is losing or has a lower evaluation, but and is losing billions of dollars in revenue, but it's not because of the boycotts. Like there's literally an article made on that. And when they gave a reason for why it's not the boycotts, they're like, it's because, you know, people are less interested in buying their products.
You mean
and their customer
TikTok,
base,
or you mean Starbucks?
Starbucks, sorry. Starbucks.
Okay.
Yeah, there's less people purchasing their items and like going out as customers, like, and like that's
not true.
Exactly what the boycott is doing.
Yes. But also the CEO of Starbucks released a statement recently, like in the last day or two, where he basically said the company has not explicitly stated their stance on the conflict, air quote. And so like he's not really sure why they're being boycotted. But I think some people don't realize why Starbucks is being boycotted. It's not because they've openly stated that they support the IDF or the Israeli government. It's because when their workers union posted a tweet about standing with Palestine, the Starbucks company sued the union for putting out that stance. Yeah. So that's why the boycott is happening.
And also I believe that gentleman himself, I forget his name, or maybe someone on his team or his board, sits on the board of like AIPAC, which is like the basically whatever that group is that funds Israel, that lobbies for the Israeli government in America. So someone sits on the board that works for Starbucks. I believe it's that guy.
The Asia Pacific Economic Corporation, that one?
I'm not sure. I forget which it is, but it was the one of them, the one that that's funded by Israel. Essentially, they sit on that board. So that's how they're supporting it as well. They're literally lobbying for more money to be to be funded towards funneled towards Israel, right?
Yeah.
So that was another way that people could essentially do something like outside of just posting about it, because I feel like that's why going back to that, I feel like that's why people felt gassed. But there is one thing that I was kind of on the fence of. I don't know how you feel about this, but there was someone who made a post saying that, like, even if these companies that were currently pressuring and boycotting, even if they were to turn around and say like they no longer support Israel and like they support like a two-state solution, whatever, if they just stop supporting Israel in general, we should still no longer support them going forward from now. And I was on the fence. I was like, yeah, but then what's their incentive for listening to the protesters or giving in to the boycott and giving us what we want?
I mean, I think we know now, just from whether it's celebrities in the public eye, social media influencers, everyone always gets a second chance. If they can right their wrongs.
Yeah. So that rhetoric then should be
but then I think I understand why they're saying like let's just
chastise,
let's cancel them permanently or punish them permanently, is because you're trying to teach them a lesson, or maybe you want to force them to make the right decision because of their moral values and what's like right, rather than doing it because they want their consumer base to come back, their customers to go, like, you know what I mean?
I don't think their motives are going to be clear. Like, at the end of the day, they are a company.
Yeah.
They're going to want to make money.
Yeah.
And if we're affecting their ability to make money,
yeah,
and they change their ways so they can continue to make money, I'm not saying that we should immediately support that, but we shouldn't chastise anyone for going back and starting to use that product again, right? Because we have to show that, like, you will be rewarded for standing with the right side of humanity.
Yeah.
You know, they could, and I feel like that's that rhetoric that guy was trying to come out with, where it's saying like, we no longer support you, no matter, even if you change your ways, we're no longer support you, is the same issue that I had with like the cancel culture.
Yeah.
And that, because cancel culture unfortunately led to people not even having the ability to have like a second chance. You know, of course it depends on like the degree of what they did.
Right.
But like for someone who might have done something a little bit minor or said something maybe in their past, they're no longer like that anymore, but they've changed their ways, and that just came out that they've done that in their past. And they maybe say, sorry, okay, you know, that was just me before. I'm a changed person now. But the internet still chastises them and like no longer allows them to have any type of like say in the online community. That's when it becomes an issue, at least in my mind.
Yeah, but if you think about it,
what
Starbucks is doing is not something like if they're like directly funding the IDF or directly funding the Israeli government,
yeah,
that's a pretty big deal. And I don't know if people can forgive that, even if they change their stance and they say like, oh, we're no longer going to.
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying you as an individual, if you no longer can forgive that and will never go back, all right to you.
Yeah.
But if they do change their ways, some customers or some people who were boycotting them choose to start going back, I don't think we should chastise them for it.
I agree.
Right? So that was something that I just found was kind of odd. Everything else was like, okay, you're good to go.
I think some people are experiencing a lot of high emotion right now.
Exactly.
So
I did feel like it might have been that. Yeah.
They say things that like, we're never going to support you guys again.
Yeah, but I think that was just also a part of cancel culture that was bleeding into this boycott situation.
Yeah.
So that's why I was kind of like, okay, guys, you know, we're boycotting so we can make them change their ways. And, you know, usually when someone changes their ways, you're supposed to reward that in some way to show other companies what can happen if you change your mind or eventually start supporting the right cause.
Yeah, like look at, I feel like I give this example a lot, but look at the makeup industry. Prior to Fenty Beauty coming out with that 50 shade range foundation line, you know, companies were getting away with having like 30 beige colors, as they call them, and then 2 colors for people that
Black
weren't
and brown people, basically.
Yeah, like two shades. Then Fenty came out with 50 shades, or however many it was. Sorry, I can't remember. Maybe it was 48, but like a vast variety, of shades. And their launch was super successful because of that. A lot of companies followed suit, and now it's like the standard. And so if you want your company to be successful, you follow that.
Lead by example.
Exactly.
And they saw that there was a customer base that wasn't being provided for, and they went directly for that customer base, and clearly it worked out for them.
Yeah.
And usually when other people see there's money to be made somewhere, they're going to follow suit, right?
And then they have their diversity hire where they hire the token minority influencer to try and like pull in that thing too. And I mean, I'm not going to hate on the girl, like the influencers who go for those deals, because get your bag. Yeah. It's kind of like it's like a win-win situation. The influencer gets paid, and the company kind of expands their horizon a bit. So,
hey, that's capitalism for you, right?
I know.
Okay, so speaking of cancel culture, a recent event that's taking place, or a recent trial, is the one with Jonathan Majors, who was assaulted. He was assaulted. Okay,
I would say allegedly.
He was put on trial for allegedly, but technically he's already done. He was put on trial for allegedly assaulting his, at that point, girlfriend. The funny thing is that initially there were no charges. Like, the girl was like, no, I'm not going to charge him, whatever. Like, this just happened between us. We're going to let it be. The government, or like the district attorney, later came in and applied the charges themselves. So this is not between Jonathan Majors and the girl. This is between Jonathan Majors and the state of New York.
Why'd they take it to that level, though?
I don't know. I think because it's like he's high profile or something. And sometimes they feel like people who are more high profile might pay off someone to like just give them hush hush money. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking their motive is. He's also he was coming up black actor in the community. So if your conspiracy hat is on, I'm just saying. But so essentially it came out that like there was one night where he was out with his girlfriend. She got very drunk. He was on his phone. She saw a message on his phone from like another girl. She got angry, tried to rip the phone out of his hand. He pushed her away to try and like not let her take his phone. Eventually the car was stopped. He tried to get out of the car or out of the taxi or whatever they were in, and she started pulling him back. So then he like very aggressively pushed her back into the vehicle and started sprinting. Like, when I say sprinting, I'm talking about like track and field. You're going for the gold kind of sprinting. And this girl behind him in heels, was catching up. She was
impressive looking.
I know, it was kind of impressive too, with the shoes that she was wearing, and she was drunk too. And like she was just chasing him down. They had like multiple camera angles. It looked like it was a film from a movie. It's like camera angles, like following them down the street, turn the corner and everything. Eventually she like passes a bar, and it's almost like she had like amnesia or something, because she just stopped, and she ended up partying the night away in that club that she ran past. Yeah, it's a weird situation.
Okay.
And then he later checks into a hotel. He's like, I can't deal with this. I'm just going to check into a hotel. She continues partying the rest of the night. She goes back to the apartment they have together. And he, I guess in the morning, went back to the apartment, found her drunk on the floor, passed out, like completely passed out.
Oh my God.
And immediately he calls the police, because he's like, there's a weird situation, black man in an empty apartment with a girl passed out on the floor. I'm calling the police. He calls the police. They pull up. She wakes up. She's like still kind of like out of it. She has like a laceration behind her ear. She has a broken finger, and they're like talking to her, trying to figure out what happened. And even in the like police footage, you can hear they're trying to coax her, be like, oh, did he do this to you? Is something? And like, he's the one who called them, like, first off. And I know people might do that, but still, he called them. And by the time that this was all over, the police left, like no one was arrested. She was just taken to getting her laceration or cut taken care of, and it was kind of done with. And then later the government came in, or the district attorney came in and charged him for assault. So this became a big trial. The thing about Jonathan Majors, though, is that he's been in a lot of big movies recently, but in my world, at least, he was supposed to be one of the bigger big bads of the Marvel universe that was coming up. And he was already in a few movies. He was in like the new Quantumania movie with Ant-Man. He was in the new Loki show for season 2. He was in almost all the episodes there. And they're building him up. They had like a post-credit scene in the Thor movie where there were thousands of versions of him because he was supposed to deal with like multiverse. So it was becoming a very big thing for him. So of course there's a lot riding on this. And people in the nerd community were like, is he going to get fired? And thankfully for once, the Disney didn't do what they normally, or most movie studios would do. Whenever something like this happens, they'll just they'll fire the person right away if there's any claims or anything made against them. But they didn't do that. They said, okay, we'll just wait and see how this trial turns out. So the trial goes on. In the video that I was talking about where they see them running, at that point, the girl did not seem to have any cut behind her ear at the time. And there is also multiple videos of her at the actual bar that she was partying at. There didn't seem to be any cut on her at all. There's actually a claim at one point where she ran into a wall because she was so drunk.
Oh my God.
And they say that might be how she either cut her ear or even had the cut behind her ear, or even had the broken finger because she like literally ran into a wall. But somehow, after all this was coming out, there's actually a couple not claims, but like there were a couple quotes that came out with her saying like, oh, I'm a girl, or I'm something like that. Like, I'm a white girl, they'll believe me. Or something like that. Something that I'm a girl or I'm a woman. I don't know if the white power is in there, but that they'll believe me. And like that kind of made it seem kind of iffy. A lot of the internet was more on Jonathan Major's side. Wow. Saying like there's no way, like all the evidence was kind of stacked against her from what it looked like.
Yeah.
And finally, I think like last week or 2 weeks ago, they came to a final decision and they ended up actually charging him.
Yeah, he got charged
for, I think it was like 3rd-degree assault. What were the actual charges?
He was found guilty of misdemeanor assault in the 3rd degree, recklessly causing physical injury, and harassment in the 2nd degree, which is a violation.
Yeah. So that sounds bad because in an article, all you would see is Jonathan Majors charged or found guilty on charges of assault, right? But then when you actually look into what he was charged for, and I might even give them a little bit of this, but I wouldn't usually think that someone should go to trial for all of this, but they were just saying that I forget which charge it is, but one of the charges was because he got her off of him too aggressively. So that video that you saw, or that I don't know if I can even show it here, but the one I was talking about where he's pushing her back into the vehicle, they said that he used too much force to get her off of him. Right? So that's like, okay, really? Like that's a thing? And I think the other charge is also related to that.
Yeah.
So it was a very messy situation, and immediately, not even like an hour after that charge or that verdict came out, Disney dropped him immediately.
I was just gonna say, but
like they fired him immediately, even though he was found guilty, and if he's gonna go and he's gonna appeal the results, of course. But like even if you did just look at it as it is, like if someone's attacking you, I don't know if I would really even go through the effort of charging the person who was attacked for maybe reacting too harshly for how they were being attacked. And like it's not like he pushed her off and continued to beat her. He literally pushed her off and sprinted away.
Yeah.
Like how, I don't know. That's why I came in with a little bit of that conspiracy at the beginning, because like you have a rising star, he happens to be a black man, and like
they're trying to get him out.
The thing, and it's not only that, it's also the materials that with the movies that he was picking. Like he was going to be a very big character in the Marvel universe, but even before that, he was part of Lovecraft Country, which was calling out like the issues with the racist South. And he was in like some documentaries. I forget what the names of the movies and documentaries were, but a lot of them were very like related to like civil rights movements and black oppression and all those things. And he was a very, like, outside of all this, there were stories of him being like pretty much a butthole. I don't know if I can say that. He was on set or like as a person, and he did think very highly of himself. And there were some, not saying that it's still okay to like for him to lose everything for this, but he also thought of himself very highly, and that like there was a audio that came out of him speaking to his girlfriend in a very like derogatory manner and saying like, you know, Barack Obama had Michelle Obama, and like Martin Luther King had Coretta Scott King, and he's like, do you know who those people are? That's the, he didn't mention Martin Luther King, but he's like, that's the wives of, you know, great black men, you know, and I need to make sure that you are representing me properly, because she was known to have a drinking problem, and he felt like her acting crazy or acting belligerent in public made him look bad as a person. So he's like, if you're gonna be with me, you have to make sure that like whatever you do reflects on me. So you have to make sure that you're being like the most upright person as much in the public eye.
Right, he was checking her. Yeah,
he was checking her. And you can have your own opinions on that, but I don't think it should have led to him getting charged for assault and actually getting a guilty verdict in that manner. So that was just something that happened recently in the public eye that I was following, you know, from videos made here and there. Yeah. And sure, I might have like a certain bias there, of course, because of, you know, I know how, you know, the white man treat us, you know, treat us out here. So I do have that. I'm just saying, like, you know,
the American justice system is anything but just. So.
Yeah. And the fact that she didn't want to charge him to begin with, but yet they still went after him for it, it kind of irked me a little bit.
It's a little sus, if in my opinion. Exactly. A little bit suspicious, but.
Yeah. And but I do hope, you know, even though, you know, he was found guilty and he did have those audio recordings did not sound good in his favor at all. No matter what the context or like what else is going on. Like if I just heard that alone, I already have like a negative opinion on like him as a person. But I don't think he should lose all his work, especially if he's a great actor. And maybe he'll learn from this, hopefully.
But then there's that whole debate of like, you know, it's like for example, Chris Brown. Fans of Chris Brown, or some people who like Chris Brown's music, are able to separate the art from the artist. And then there are those that aren't able to separate the art from the artist, and therefore they're like, Chris Brown beat Rihanna however many years ago. Yeah, he's permanently canceled in my household. Like that's another example, right? Like if you're able to separate the art from the artist, then you can enjoy whatever art that they're creating. And if you're not able to do that, then in your eyes they're going to be canceled permanently if you don't agree with whatever actions they do in their personal life.
And I'm sure there are a lot of people who are very popular out there in the public eye who aren't known to be the best people behind the scenes. Let me just say,
I know this is an ongoing thing.
What?
You know, like the whole Diddy scandal.
Oh, yeah.
And now, and even like the Epstein issue, how like the names are going to be released soon. All but 3 names. 3 names are apparently like never going to be released. Yeah. And who knows who those 3 people are.
Well, they said those people are minors, and like people who, well, they may be minors, or like people who were minors at the time or something like that. Yeah. So they didn't want to be exposed for that. Why? What was your conspiracy? Sorry, I just ruined your conspiracy moment there.
Yeah, because someone was saying it's like the Obama... Diddy? No, not Diddy. Everyone knows Diddy's kind of sus right now. They were saying it was Obama, Biden, and someone else. I can't remember.
Nah, that's too on the nose. Honestly, they all have a lie, because they said that it's not only people who they like literally had like not business relations. Like, it's not a list of people who came to the island. It might be a few of those people, but it's literally anyone they came in contact with. And Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, like they were people who were hanging out with a bunch of like the bigwigs. They were doing business with all these people, not only for the island, but just in general. They were millionaires, right? Yeah. So they're out here doing business as usual while having this stuff on the side. And their lie is that they can say, oh, we were just, we were doing business with them. We didn't know about all this extra stuff they were doing on the side. We just knew that, they could facilitate certain things for us. So
all I'm saying is,
I don't think this list is going to be as big as everybody thinks it's going to be.
I know, but all I'm saying is that the elites of Hollywood, or just like the elites of wealth, If you're closer to the billionaire territory, it's hard to believe that you've gained your wealth in an ethical way. Someone somewhere had to be exploited. Someone somewhere had to have been paid off due to some sort of abuse.
Even your queen Rihanna, man. I'm just saying.
She's not my queen.
Huh?
I'm not a diehard fan.
She's been found to, have you using unethical sources for her makeup. I'm just saying,
I'm not a diehard fan. Listen.
Yeah.
She's not above the law.
Yeah.
You know. So all I'm saying is,
well,
she is technically.
If you have a certain amount of money, you are above the law.
but all I'm saying is that what I've seen, and maybe it's because I'm on like the conspiracy side of TikTok right now, but like people are starting to like old assistants. First of all, I didn't know that NDAs could expire. So all of a sudden, all these people are coming out and speaking of things that have happened or things that, like, if they're assistants of celebrities or, really powerful people, they're like, oh yeah, like you just hear wild stuff. And I'm like, okay.
Hey, they out here in these streets, okay? Yeah, like I've listened to there's a couple people on the internet, like even streamers that I've seen, and like a couple of them are very open about what they're into, and like if they're doing that, like the crazy stuff they're talking about they're doing, like the things that first comes to your mind, just imagine what the people who have like almost unlimited funds are doing. The ones who literally have so much money they don't know what to do with it, and they can get any desire, anything they want.
Do you know what I'm about to say?
What?
Come on.
No, don't say it gets out. It doesn't even work in this context.
Biggie once said in his song.
It doesn't work in this context. Okay, say it.
More money. No problem.
It doesn't work.
The more money we come across.
We're talking about how they have less problems, not less problems, but like they're like doing more crazy stuff. That's not problems.
No. What I mean by that is that the more wealth you have, when you start to have FU money, as they call it, you literally can do whatever you want, and that is a problem. There's no moral.
Oh, that's a problem for us.
For the people themselves. Because they may not get caught now.
I see what you mean.
That's
like,
what I mean.
It will become a problem because they don't realize that they're
unhinged. They're just doing whatever they want.
Repercussions for their actions, whether in this life or the next. Okay, I see what you mean. If you're talking a grander context,
obviously,
with like, if you're taking like the hereafter into account here.
Well, that too, yes.
Yeah, then of course. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like they say money is the root of all evil. If you don't have that self-control within you, and you have unlimited wealth. So you're just doing whatever you please?
Yeah. As you advertise for Apple this whole time with your laptop.
Listen, this was purchased like 3 years ago, okay?
Got the Apple logo right there. We're not sponsored. I should blur that out the whole time.
There we go.
Okay.
I have it on the side now. No, but
I should get you a fidget toy.
This is my lunch.
You're fidgeting with that laptop the whole episode.
I'm just like holding it around. Anyways, the point is that when you have that level of wealth, it's like it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Because you have no self-control. You're doing whatever you want. You don't even need to be a nice person.
It's like not terrifying.
It is.
To who? To them as an individual?
Not to them. To us. To like normal people.
To us, yeah. To us it's terrifying. Yeah.
Like I just to have access to that much wealth, like it's crazy.
It is.
I can't think of that.
Eventually justice will be served for everyone. I'm just saying.
Like look at Israel. Maybe I should call them something else, but look at that place.
Yeah, look at that place.
They have unlimited wealth.
That place is a word from now on. We already know.
That place, yeah. They have unlimited wealth, unlimited resources.
Us, YouTube.
They have unlimited resources from, their BITCH, the US.
Countries are a whole different story.
I know, but like imagine if they were like an extremely poor country. They would not have half the power that they have now.
Well, technically, even if we didn't have if they weren't being funded by so many of these Western countries, like they would be a pretty poor country. Yeah. Because they've been helped by so many people.
Exactly.
Yeah, and calling them the only democracy, but yeah, right.
Yeah, they're not a democracy.
Exactly.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, like if they are, but it's like okay, it's very grand, like global politics, conspiracy stuff. Not gonna get into that, but yeah, I see what you mean.
I had to check my calendar because honestly, like when it's like the last 2 weeks of December, the days kind of blur together. I was like, oh yeah, Thursday, when this episode's going to be released, is going to be New Year's Eve. It's not. It's like the 28th or something.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But
I'm trying to do the math in my head.
Yeah, I was like, I thought it was. But no, what I was going to say was that like this year has zoomed by so fast.
Did it?
Yeah, for me, it felt like it was very fast.
For me, I just lose context of years now. Like, was that 2022? Was that 2023? I can't remember. Like, I don't know why. 2022 and 2023 kind of blend together for me.
You know why I feel like this year went by so fast?
Why?
Because from 2020 to 2022, I just feel like life felt so much slower because we were home so much more than we normally are. And this was the first year that we were like truly outside all year long. You know what I mean? Like so much has happened.
Yeah.
And so like when I actually sit and reflect, and I'm like, oh my God, that also happened. Oh my God, that also happened this year. And this happened this year. Like so much has happened that I feel like next year is really going to be that like that. I don't know if like the regulation year really makes sense, but like the year that you're
everything rebounds.
Yeah, like you're not going crazy with like spending and traveling, and like you're just trying to like balance out everything for once. And I feel like that's, you know, next year is going to feel a little bit more normal paced, hopefully, but maybe not. It could also zoom by. We'll see. Maybe we'll discuss our New Year's resolutions and stuff next year. I mean, next week. Next week instead of this week. I don't know.
No, my New Year's resolutions are more like related to podcast stuff, but we're going to work on that.
Yeah, podcast stuff is definitely on my list too. Yeah, we'll talk about it next week because I haven't like finalized my list yet, so I don't want to just talk for the sake of talking.
We need to find what did happen this year. I don't know.
We'll have a recap next week.
We'll have a recap?
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So this is going to be one hell of an episode to edit. I don't know how this is all going to work. The camera stopped like 2 or 3 times already. But, you know, we're figuring it out, okay?
Yeah.
Pray for us. Inshallah, you know, 2024 will be a year of growth and new beginnings when it comes to the podcast, like in things that we're coming out with, that kind of thing, inshallah. So look forward to that. We're going to have like a year-end episode probably next week. Maybe. Yeah. We'll see. Yeah. And but until then, make sure you hit the subscribe button, like the video, leave a comment on one of the topics we spoke about today. And if you don't want to do any of that, just, you know, tell your friends, tell your mom, tell someone. Until then, we'll see y'all next week.
Bye.